Welcome back, beautiful people, to part 2 of the Mutant Invasion X-Men series on Trey, the Terrible Collector. Last time on the show, we opened the first half of the Mutant Invasion series. We've got Archangel, Sabretooth, and Eric the Red. This time we have a couple of really cool things that we're going to go through. I'm really excited about this one. First up in the Mutant Invasion series, we have Havok. Havok was initially teased in Series 2. He was put up in the box art, but he was never actually made. This is a later iteration of the character when he was the leader of X Factor as a government sanctioned X team. He is Scott Summers, Cyclops' younger brother. Very cool character. Excited to open up this figure. Super 90s. First thing that we are going to have is Boomer on our card here. Havok, he's going to have that headgear kind of situation that Gambit also had. No human being has ever worn anything that looks like that in the universe, but here he is. He is going to have a kind of like a twist and throw kind of a situation because his power is going to shoot these plasma discs that like slide into his arm, and then he like launches them. I'm not going to because Frankie's here and he'll definitely eat this if I throw it. But that's pretty cool. His arm functions like a gun. He's got like a tiny leather jacket, super 90s, lots of straps, all kinds of ridiculous stuff on there. I think he looks great. Very cool. Glad to finally get Havok added to the bunch. That means it is now time for our Boomer, or Boom Boom as she's sometimes known, is frequently a member of the X-Force, and I'm actually going to use this as a little bit of a cheat. If you guys haven't read Exterminators by Leo Williams from 2022, y'all are really missing out on a super fun self-contained little run of comics. It's 5 issues. It's her, Jubilee, Dazzler, and Laura's Wolverine, just getting into all sorts of hijinks. Absolutely hilarious, sexy, violent, all of the things you want in a comic book. If you haven't read it yet, check it out. It's awesome. Cool. Next up, we are going to have Spiral. Let's see. Any place the other dimensional sorceress known as Spiral chooses to dance her spells of mayhem is not a good place to be. A humanoid creation of the slave-driving television personality Mojo, Spiral's 6 arms lend themselves as adeptly to combat and swordplay as they do to casting spells. Originally, she was, like it said, a minion of Mojo. At some point, she worked with Mystique and the rest of the former Brotherhood as part of ForceWorks. I love weirdo characters. We had Forearm in the early X-Force toys, and now we have somebody with 6 arms, so that's even more ridiculous. Let's see. Obviously, not a ton of articulation. 2 of the arms bend. The other ones are all kind of coming out of the same shoulder joint, and you squeeze her legs and you get kind of like a thrashing motion. A lot more functional than Forearm, actually. She's got cool furry boots. Those look neat. I'm surprised her head moves too. Usually with characters that have long hair, they don't even bother, but that looks pretty cool. She does come with 2 swords, which I've lost. Spiral was also featured in one of the X-Men animated shows on an episode with Nightcrawler on a boat, and it was absolutely dope. Very cool. I love it. We don't get a ton of female figures in this line, so for us to get one who's also got a really weird body shape and some cool things going on is really pretty dope. All right, that brings us to our second extra fact. Strong Guy existed in the Age of Apocalypse universe, and he was featured in Gambit in the Externals. As part of that comic, he was a really cool foil to Gambit. Gambit was willing to give anything to protect the universe and to protect his love, and Guido was willing to do anything to make sure that he was the one to receive that love. In so doing, he became a really cool villain and a really cool foil to some of those other characters. Really great run if you guys haven't checked that comic out. All right. Lastly, we have a character who appeared in the second line of X-Men toys. This is Iceman 2. This is a very 90s version of this character. This was when he had been interacting with the White Queen, and she had taken over part of his body and used his powers to show him how he could do more than what he was doing with them. And it was the beginning of his path towards being an Omega level mutant. He's very cool, translucent body, but with like a couple of like colored in bits. He's got ice chunks all over him. He comes with two like gauntlet style things, so you can have bigger hands. Those are kind of cool. And this like ice sheet that comes up behind his head doesn't really do a lot, but really no complaints about this figure. He's really dope looking. He is a little sticky, kind of a bummer. All right, lastly, we have our final extra fact. At this point in time, Sabretooth was often listed as a member of the X-Men, and he was actually just a prisoner at that point in time. But those comics always remind me of a What If comic. I believe it was in Volume 2, number 87. And in that comic, it was what if Sabretooth had been captured by the X-Men and then he escaped? It gives you a really brutal look at the character, some really incredible art, and he manages to take down most of the team. Really good reading if you guys are looking for something fun and dark and violent. All right, very, very cool. The Mutant Invasion line is super 90s, and I wouldn't have it any other way. This is kind of my favorite chunk of these toys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, my friends, please remember to like and subscribe and tell your homies if you think that they would like to, watch a dude open old toys. This is the show for them. Y'all have been wonderful, as always, and I have been terrible. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys again soon.